service invoice. So we're just going to take 350,000 or in between seasons. So the business looks like this all year. It's like up, 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 peak season. Oh, now we got slow season, and it's up and down. So in order for that to transfer over into the new year with your new goals, it's going to be really easy math because everything is doubled. So if I did 10,000 in January last year, then January this year in 2025, I'm going to go ahead and put 20K. What's up, guys? Today, I want to talk about setting targets. We're going to get kind of in the weeds in this episode. This is one of the things that if you haven't been setting targets for your company that is on display for everybody like a scorecard, then you don't have a culture that's aligned and actually rowing in the same direction, trying to hit the same target. There are some nuances when it comes to hitting a target. We got to make sure that everybody understands what it means to them, like what's in it for them if we do hit this target. But once we establish that and we share that with everybody, whatever your goal is for 2025, then we want to share that, but we want to break it down and have a monthly target to hit so that we know where we're going and how it's going to even happen. So we're going to do like an example. I'm just going to break down some stuff and show you how to go about doing this. So the first thing that I want you to do is determine your number of installs that you did in 2024. And I also want you to determine the total dollar amount. So you'll add all those up just for installation, total dollar amount for installs. And you should already know what your total sales were. So you already know it over here, that just be the total revenue that your company brought in for 2024. It'd be the very top line item typically on your profit and loss statement. So for this example, we're going to say this is a company that's doing 500,000. And they've sat and they thought and they know that this year, 2025 is their year. They're going to double. And so they've set a target of 1 million for the business. So you have to know that. You have to know those two numbers, of course. Then we're going to go back through all the months, all the history from last year. You're going to add up the number of installs, then add up the total dollar amount for all those installs. For this example, I'm going to say that the number of installs was 45. And I'm going to say the total amount when we added all those invoices up was 350,000. And I'm going to do the same thing for service. So I'm going to look at my install department and then look at my service department. So for service, I'm going to do the number of service invoices. And for this example, we're going to say we did 200 invoices. And then we're going to look at the total dollar amount of those service invoices. And for this example, we're going to say that added up to 150,000. Oop, I'm going to have to take a call real quick. Got a client on the line. Okay, I'm back. So that was one of my clients, my customers who, man, when he came to us, he was like super in debt. And we had some long conversations together, some long trainings, and he is pulling out of it like with flying colors. He's going to be back on track by the end of this year. I think all of his debt will be paid, and he's, up $20,000 net profit the last 2 months. So anyhow, let's get back to what we were talking about here. So we've got the number of installs, the total added up for all those installs. We got the number of service invoices and then the total for all those added up. Now we can find out what the average install actually is. And we can find out what the average service ticket is. service invoice. So we're just going to take 350,000, divide that by 45, because we did 45 installs. 7,777. Now let's find out the average service invoice. 150,000 divided by 200 service calls. Made an average service invoice of 750. This is just an example, guys. So yours might be more, might be less, but another thing we need to do is we need to, excuse me, determine what is this installation number as a percentage to your total sales of 500,000. What is that as a percentage? So what we're going to do is take 350,000 and divide that by the total revenue that you did for that year, which is 500,000. And that's 0.7. So that's 70%. That would mean that this is going to be 30%. I would find it out the same way. I'd take 150,000 divided by 500,000. That gives me 30% service invoice. The service department brought in 30% of our revenue. The install department brought in 70% of our revenue. Now I can bet that you're going to find that you're going to be really close to that. It might be like 80-20, or, you know, it might be slightly off, like 72-28% or something like that. 72 and 28, or 75 and 25, but it's going to be close to 80-20. Like the 80-20 rule, the Pareto principle, like it always seems to rule when it comes to. So for instance, in this situation, close to 80% of all of our revenue comes from 20% of our jobs, or something to that nature, right? Okay, so now what we're going to do, that we have all this information, because we're going to use some of this information. What I want to do is I'm going to look back at 2024, right? We've got, imagine this is just a big calendar. We've got January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. Okay, so we have all of that. And what I want you to do is add up well, first go through each month in your profit and loss statements and just find out what was the total revenue for each month. So let's just say January was 10,000, February was 8,000, March was 15,000, April was 25,000, May was 32,000. Like, you're just going to add all these up and write down what they are. And now what you can do, because now you know what your average invoice is, you could go ahead and count. You know, if you wanted, you could go ahead and count like the number of installs and the number of service calls. You could do that and just add up the total for each. And we know for this year, this was 2024. And we've already determined what we want to do in 2025, which is 1 million. So this is going to be really easy math, because everything is doubled. So if I did 10,000 in January last year, then January this year in 2025, I'm going to go ahead and put 20K. If I did 8,000 in February, then I would do 16,000 this year, right? So the math is real easy for this. Now that these goals would be set. The reason you want to break it down monthly is because there are, as you know, different seasons have different volume. You know, there's more demand one season versus the other season, or in between seasons. So the business looks like this all year. It's like up, 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 peak season. Oh, now we got slow season, and it's up and down. So in order for that to transfer over into the new year with your new goals, you're going to make sure that you're using the month to month. So let's say this is the $1 million goal for 2025. So now what I'm going to do is get my calculator out. And if I did 20, the new goal is 20,000, and I know from my numbers that 70% of my revenue comes from installs and 30% comes from service. Well, now I can take that 20,000 number, more light in here. I can't really see my calculator. 20,000 times 0.7, 14,000. That tells me 14,000 is going to come from installs, because that's 70% of my revenue. And then I could just do the easy math here. I know there's 6,000 left. That 6,000 would come from service. Does that make sense? It's very simple. It seems complicated. It's very simple. You just break it down step by step by step. So now, on January, for instance, let me write this a little bit bigger. Last year, 2024, was 10,000. 2025, the new goal is 20,000. 14 of that 20,000, 14 is going to come from install. 6 is going to come from service. Now, since I know the average ticket size, right? I know that my average invoice in install and my average invoice in service is right there. So now I can just divide this. I can take my 14,000 that's going to come from install, and I'm going to divide that by 7777. That's 1.8. Just come out here, equals 1.8 installs. And just round up. So I need 2 installs if I'm going to hit my goal in January to continue to keep me on pace to hit my $1 million mark here that I'm shooting for. Service calls, 6,000 of that revenue divided by $750 average invoice, right? That's what we came up with, $750 equals 8. All I need is 8 service calls. 8 service calls, as long as I maintain that average of $750. So now I actually have some real tangible targets to shoot for in January if I'm going to do a 1 million, because I'm just basically doubling every month since I'm trying to double my company. I hope that makes sense. This is plain and simple. If it doesn't make sense, just go back and watch this video a couple of times. It'll start to make sense. Sometimes you gotta, when it comes to like developing mastery over something, sometimes you gotta watch things several times. Sometimes you gotta really give it time to soak in so that you know that you actually get it, because this is real. Like, you're going to use this in your business now for January of this year. And I would do this for every single month, but I would post this up in my office and I would have, this is the goal. You could do like, there's several different ways you can do this, but I would recommend getting a whiteboard or something. You can maybe go to canva.com and they have these like thermometer style things that you could download. I know it looks kind of funny, but and we know the goal, let's say for January, is 20,000. Well, as we get up closer to the goal, let's say right now we're at 8,000 for the month. Well, I would fill this in. Let's say when I measured that, I would put the date. So it's 1/14. And that way, when everybody comes in, they can look at this and say, hey, we're at 8,000. We're almost halfway there. And it's almost the 15th, which would be the halfway through the month. So if I'm halfway through the month and I'm at 10,000, I'm actually kind of on pace. If I'm not on pace, well, then it's probably I need to hit the phones, or I need to do some email marketing, do some text messages. I probably need to get busy on social media, spreading the word about this special that we have going on for installs. So, but having this target visible where everybody can see it, that is the key. That's one of the keys to getting people aligned and getting everybody rowing in the same direction, striving to hit targets. Business is a game. And if you're not going to keep score, then you have no idea if you're winning or losing. So if you're going to wait till the end of the year to find out if you actually made any money in your business or not, you're doing it wrong. Well, we help people do it right. As I've shared, I'm a coaching consultant. I own a little company called Amplified Life Collective. I've got a business partner. Her name's Natalia Rodriguez. Our company is a business and leadership development company. So we develop business leaders. We do that. We specialize in helping contractors develop this structure and gain more profit and develop processes inside of their business so that they can gain more freedom. Because ultimately, if we're just going to, whether it be financial freedom or time freedom or both, it's whatever you want, you can absolutely create it and have it. But you need a game plan and you need the map, the roadmap, if you will, on how to do that. So for the next several weeks, I'm gonna be meeting with people just to do a 15-minute, no sales, just complimentary. You tell me what your restraint is or the constraint in your business that you're struggling to get past, and I'm gonna share some stuff with you. It's a 15-minute call, calling it a game plan session. So right now I'm gonna put a Calendly link in the description below. Just book that call with me. And let's talk about the business. I love talking about business. I love helping people overcome challenges and get to that next, just like the guy that I had to pause the video for. Like, I am so excited. There's nothing that pumps me up more than people like that, who came to me with $400,000 in debt, and he's climbing out of that hole like he never believed possible. And by the end of this year, I'm willing to bet you $1,000 right now that he's going to have over $200,000 in his account with all debt paid. So book a call with me. Let's talk business. 15 minutes, that's it. I want you to just get to the point. Tell me what your constraint is. If I need some context, I will ask to learn a little bit more about what we're talking about, if that's necessary. And I'll give you some ideas on how to overcome that. So do that. The Calendly link is going to be in the description below. My time slots are kind of different days and kind of this time, that time. Just pick one that works for you. It's just a phone call, and I just want to help. And we're going into summer, which is the peak season, and what you do during the peaks is going to determine your valleys when the slow season hits again. I want you to win this year like never before, just like my customer who just called me and gave me all this great news. So anyhow, love you guys. I'll let you go for now. Go make money.